Live from
Shane,
the garden.
Shane, what do you have against show sheets? That's all I want to know.
Live from the garden.
Why do you hate show sheets so
I
much?
don't. I'm used to doing live streams now, right? So I'm just all about answering questions from the audience, like thinking on your feet. And the problem with show sheets is you got to be rehearsed,
No, you don't have
sketched
to be
out,
rehearsed. It's not sketched.
and you're
It's
not
giving you a guideline so you
you're
know what
not
questions might
natural.
come. What do you mean not natural? Everything about this right here is natural, okay?
This is not part of the show sheet.
My mustache?
Oh, your mustache is not. Your mustache is very not natural. Your mustache is atrocious. It
It
would
is
get you
not atrocious.
arrested if you went near a school. You would definitely go to jail. Like if you went anywhere near a high school right now, the cops would jump out of the trees and just take you down.
You're just jealous because you can't grow a mustache like this.
I could grow a mustache like that truly if I wanted to in about a day and a half.
I want to see it.
I don't want to.
We got to do a bet then. We got to do a bet one time. But that's your punishment. You got to do a mustache for one show.
No. So what's up, man? We got
I'm just
questions
chilling,
and
man.
shit already.
We got questions that I pulled off of the internet and some of the, I guess, people in my leagues posing trades. So we're going to go through that. We're going to go through some of the fun things. Are you ready to kick this episode off?
I'm live from the garden.
Live from the guard. Let's go.
This is Fantasy Intervention. Now here to intervene with your fantasy life, Shane Manila, Jacob Sanderson, and Chase Vernon.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome into yet another episode of Fantasy Intervention. Oh my God, Shane. Oh my God. Why don't you ever do this to Jay? Why is it just me?
But this is what I do all the time.
Oh my God. I haven't heard it the past 2 times from Jay. Well, guess what, guys? You have just Shane and myself tonight. Gator Jay is actually on vacation, driving to wherever that vacation is right now. I'm excited to get this show started out. If you guys want to go follow my account over there on Twitter, you guys can find me at FF_intervention. You can find Shane over there at Shane is the worst. And today, Shane, we get to do probably the thing that you're best at, and that is valuing trades around the time of the draft. We're going to value some draft picks. We're going to value some players. We're going to see what you should be trading for, what you should be fading, and talk a little bit about this draft class as to what their values actually are for the individual players. So with that being said, Shane, before we dive into that, we did have some news across the NFL. Willie Johnson got cut with a failed physical from the Jaguars. I'm just fucking with you.
Is that a real person?
It is a real person. I just wanted to name a player that has no relevance in fantasy. No, but Odell Beckham signed with the Ravens, and I think that's probably one of the biggest pieces of news from the weekend. It insinuates, whoa, I got blurry all of a sudden. It insinuates that we have Lamar Jackson likely to come back from the Ravens. What happens to Rashad Bateman's value? What happens to Mark Andrews? What happens to Odell Beckham's and Lamar Jackson, Shane?
So apparently they were FaceTiming, right? Oh, Jesus Christ. Whoa. What is going on? Jesus.
I'm trying to get the focus back.
It
works. See? It works.
Anywho, sorry. Apparently they were FaceTiming, Beckham and Lamar. So I guess that means Lamar's going to stay. I don't know. I'm not really excited about it. OBJ hasn't been OBJ in several years. He looked okay, or I should say he looked good on the Super Bowl run with the Rams with a lot of touchdowns. It's hard to really get excited about a player that hadn't played for a year coming off his second ACL and is 30 years old. I'm not really worried about like passing volume because it is under Todd Monken now. So I think the Ravens will pass. But I mean, he is an improvement over what they had, right? They had Nelson Aguilar. I don't even know who else their wide receivers were.
Yeah,
Literally.
Rashad Bateman, Devin
Well,
Duvernay.
no, not. I meant like a lower end. Yeah, no, obviously Rashad Bateman, but he's an improvement far above whatever they had there outside of Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, agreed. I think this is good for Lamar Jackson. I think it's good for, J.K. Dobbins to an extent. If they do pass the ball more often, maybe he'll see a few targets here and there. For Odell Beckham, I don't want to touch it, to be honest. Like maybe third round pick or so, you might get a year or two out of him. It's only a 1-year contract anyways. So I'm not sold that this is something where, oh my God, you got to move all these chips. But one person that does take a huge hit for me is Rashad Bateman.
I have not been a Rashad Bateman guy for a while after his rookie season, I should say. Hey, Josh. I can't show any. You don't give me any of the rights, so I can't actually. There you go. Hey, Josh, what's going on? Hey, and anyone watching, real quick, if you follow me on Twitter but didn't see my tweet, sorry, just to interject here. I'm giving away a year's subscription to DLF, site I write for. Great site. That's not the only selling point. There's much better selling points. Great tools, great writers, bunch of great stuff over there. So giving away a free year sub. All you need to do is just show me proof that you donated to a charity. It doesn't have to be today. You didn't have to do it today. If you just donated to charity in the recent past, just shoot me a DM or reply to my tweet and you'll be entered. Back to what we were talking about. What were we talking about?
Rashad Bateman.
Rashad Bateman. Yeah, see, I don't know that this hurts Rashad Bateman because in my eyes, I was already out on Rashad Bateman. You know me. Look, if a rookie wide receiver doesn't break out, I'm a little sketch. And there was excuses. We went, all right, well, he had a decent enough first year. Second year he was injured again. Wasn't the step forward that I wanted to see. So to me, at this point, I'm already banking on him at best being a wide receiver 3. So I was already out on it. So to me, it doesn't affect him at all.
Yeah, somebody that I wasn't very high on was Rashad Bateman, and then his value got so low that I started to get a little bit higher on him. Now I'm just like, meh, whatever. I'm not trying to make a move. Outside of that, I do want to bring up something that's a little strange we've seen going with the NFL, I think since 2020, and that's teams that are a lot more willing to tank or be mediocre in order to get a higher draft pick the following year. This is something we've been seeing in the NBA for 20 years now, right? But over the past few years, we've seen teams like, for example, Arizona, the Saints this year, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Commanders even, who haven't even made an effort to improve their team in order to get a better pick next year or to land a quarterback of the future next year, similar to what Carolina did. Is this something that we're going to see as like a trend across the NFL that could actually be good for fantasy? Or do you think that this is something that could be extremely negative for fantasy in terms of some of these players just ending up on bum teams?
As far as quarterbacks?
Yeah, as far as like any player on one of these teams that could be tanking, for example, a Chris Godwin and a Mike Evans, is this something that we need to be cognizant of because of their future value? If they have a player retiring potentially, like if Aaron Rodgers retires after this year, after he lands with the Jets, should we be selling a player like Garrett Wilson because teams are so much more willing to move on?
No. What you should be doing, you should be selling Garrett Wilson, and I like Garrett Wilson. You should be selling Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, who's another guy I really, really love, if people are willing to overpay for them. If people are willing to pay you as if they're in the just outside the Justin Jefferson, Ja'Marr Chase realm. That's not the word I'm looking for. Tier. Like if someone's willing to give you like multiple firsts for them, one of them being early, all right, then you got to make that move, especially in Superflex. But I honestly, I always bet on talent over situation because situation changes so quickly. We've seen that, it's a bad situation this year. It could be a great situation next year. So if you're buying players just because of their situation, it can turn on you in a dime too. And you're always going to be trading players like left and right just because their situation's bad or good.
So would a Chris Godwin possibly be a guy that you might be trying to acquire at this point? I mean, he's 27, so he's kind of like on that line of, hey, they're going to deteriorate with their talent. but at the same time, his situation could be much better in Tampa Bay this upcoming or in 2024. So could that be a guy that you might want to acquire?
Yeah, I've been acquiring Chris Godwin in all these leagues anyway. I didn't even care who his quarterback was. I was trying to acquire him before Tom Brady retired. I was trying to what's the word I'm looking for? Acquire him after Tom Brady retired. I don't care. That doesn't affect it for me. He's got Kyle Trask and Baker? Is that the quarterback?
Yeah, Baker. Yep.
Baker. Whoever he has, he's good enough that he's going to be no worse than a wide receiver 2. Can he be a wide receiver 1? Maybe not with Baker, maybe not with Kyle Trask, and maybe not this year, but I think he could be, the year after that.
Okay. So we do have a question real quick. You did bring up Olave. So Gator comes in the chat asking the 104 and the 111 for Olave, because you did say 2 first, but this is a late first.
So here's here's going to be my justification, right? 104, I don't get to choose what quarterback I get. I'm going to take whoever falls between Young, Stroud, and that's it, really. Those are the 2 guys I'm targeting. So that means I got to hope one of those guys falls there for this deal to make sense to me. Otherwise, I'm trading Olave for, let's say, JSN and 111. And we've been going through these on the Dynasty trades in 5 series. 111 is not a pick I'm really enamored with. So no, I'm passing on this. Now, if it was the 103, I'm doing it, because then I get either Stroud or Young. You know what I mean? I'm just assuming Bijan's going 101. I can't imagine he doesn't. I can't imagine someone's going to go Stroud, Young, and then Bijan's sitting there. But if he is, fine, then I'll get him at 103. So no, not 104 and 111. Not going to do it.
All right. So we will hop into these questions about the draft class, of course. And I do see Tricky Ricky in the chat. Has a question for us. I see another one from Jamie where he just wants a victory lap, a trade that he completely dominated. But before we do, let's go ahead and kind of set the table for this conversation to happen. And that's, how do you feel about this 2023 class compared to 2024? Is this 2023 class elite? If you had to give it a scale of 1 to 10, where do you put it in terms of overall talent? Where do you put it in terms of top end talent? Where do you put it in terms of depth?
I keep trying to talk myself into liking this class more, or as much as I did.
Yeah.
But again, going through the rookie pick series we've been doing, I can't pretend that it's not disappointing, right? There's at least 3 players, right? 4 players off the top of my head that disappointed. 5 players, if I'm counting the one that's not in there. Spencer Rattler, we thought would be a part of this draft, right? We thought he would have. And we thought he would deserve to be a part of this draft. There's a reason he stayed.
Top 3 quarterback. Top 3 quarterback.
Keyshawn Booty. Why am I saying? I can't say his name for some reason. Keyshawn Bote. I don't know why I was saying it like that. He was going to
be top 5.
We expected him to be a stud. Zach Evans. He disappointed. Sean Tucker, who I really like, but apparently the NFL doesn't. So that's 4 guys that we considered were probably going to be first-round draft picks. And
Tank Bigsby too.
I like Tank. I'm still fine with Tank.
I still like Tank too. I don't understand. He's going to end up – this is what's going to happen. He's going to end up going to Dallas and as a 4th-round pick, and he's going to vulture goal line touch. He's going to play the same role that Zeke played. And honestly, they're probably not too far off talent-wise in comparison to where Zeke is now and in comparison to where Tank Bigsby is upside lies. So
I like Tank, but either way, if you wanted to count him, that's 5, dude. That's 5 players that we thought were going to be first round in this class, not NFL draft picks, but first round rookie drafts picks. And I mean, Zach Evans and Sean Tucker still might be, depending on draft capital, but it doesn't feel like they should be. It feels like it's kind of like, ugh. And Keyshawn Bote, who I can't say his name correctly for some reason now all of a sudden, apologies. He doesn't, I mean, based on his profile, his actual profile, what he did, he should not even be drafted in the first 2 rounds of rookie drafts.
So, yeah, and I completely agree with you, because I sold out. I was sitting there talking with one of my buddies the other day, and I was like, dude, I sold all of my picks last year to either get a stud or to get a 2023 pick. Even in 2021, I was aiming for 2023 because of the amount of talent that we had in that freshman class coming in. And it completely disappointed. And now we're looking at guys like Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr., who are 2 of the best prospects of their position that we might have seen ever potentially. Arguably, you know, with Trevor Lawrence, of course, the quarterback position. But in terms of fantasy value, Caleb Williams could be better than Trevor Lawrence for fantasy. So I'm somebody that is actually leaning now more towards 2024. But like, I don't want to go out and be like, oh, I'll just sell again this year for next year. So that's where I'm like, I'm having a major conundrum, a major inner conflict. So let's go.
So you know what you do though? So what you should always try to do, and you know, we always preach this, is your later first round picks, anything like after 107, 108, depending on who falls there, try to kick it to a 24 first. And not because we think the 24 first or the 24 class is going to be so much greater than the 23 class, although I hate doing this. It looks like it's going to, I'll say this, it's going to be a strong class. I can't compare them. I don't know what's going to happen because the same thing could happen to that class, right? Caleb Williams could come out next year and shit all over himself.
Yes.
Drake May could come out and shit all over himself. You know what I mean? It only takes one or two players at each position, one player at each position, wide receiver, running back, quarterback. Like if one guy at each position underperforms, all of a sudden the class looks a lot weaker. So, but I would say, like, if you have later first round draft picks, you can kick back to a 24. Fine, try to do that. But I'm not gonna go out of my way. Now, if I can tank to get the 101 or 102, like if I can pretty much move picks and know that that's what I'm going to do, fine. Because I have enough faith that Caleb Williams is as good as we think he is based off of the 2 years that we've seen.
Yeah, and this is a good year to do it because a lot of players that actually won you in a fantasy championships over the past 2 seasons, outside of like Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, have typically passed their age apex. So you can move on from a lot of those players too and get in a position to get the 101 and the 102, which is the 2 picks you really want for this upcoming class. So I got a question for you. If you're in Superflex, you need a quarterback, right? But you're not in the top 6 picks, okay? Are you moving up? Are you hoping that a guy's going to fall to you, and that player would most likely be like a Will Levis? Or are you using those same picks that you would possibly move up to trade for an established talent like a Daniel Jones, a Dak Prescott, or Jared Goff?
I'm attempting to move up. Could be
so
cost prohibitive.
You like that quarterback class enough to try to move up if you're going to try and move one of those picks?
I like 2 quarterbacks. I'm trying to get into the range of 103. I don't want to fall any further than that. If it's 106, I mean, I guess I'll take Anthony Richardson if he's on the board, but he won't be. I could see taking Will Levis if he's on the board and my quarterback room's weak. I'm not enamored with it, though. I'm really not. Like at that point, it's like, all right, can I use that pick and a quarterback and tier up at quarterback without drafting a quarterback? It's going to be difficult in Superflex.
So you're not concerned with the Panthers. I know you said earlier that, hey, situations change, right? But you're not concerned at all with the 2 landing spots being perennially terrible from year to year. Like Bryce Young landing with the Texans.
Couple things. Texans look like they're doing things differently, right? They gave DeMeco Ryans a 6-year contract or something like that. It looks like they're actually going to have a plan. And it looks like they had a plan, right? They said last year, we're not going to draft quarterback. We're going to see if Davis Mills can give us anything. If he can't, fine. We're going to have a high draft pick. We're going to go quarterback. We'll build around that. So I'm fine with that. In Carolina, I like Frank Reich with a rookie quarterback. You give him a rookie quarterback, he's going to mold him, and that quarterback's going to be fine. And I like Frank Reich as a play caller.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think that the Texans actually have had a plan for the past 2 prior seasons where they were just hiring a 1-year coach to take over because they had to fix the mess that Bill O'Brien made when he completely destroyed the future of the franchise. So I really don't think that they're as bad. And actually, that's what I was going to point out. But you nailed it right on the head. So with that being said, who is your top-ranked quarterback in this draft class? Is it Bryce Young or Stroud?
It's CJ Stroud for me.
Regardless of landing spot.
Well, here's the thing. So listening to a couple different pods, right? So I listen to the Athletic Pod a lot, and I was listening to Pat Fitzmaurice, who's been on the show a few times.
Yep,
and he had Thor Nystrom on his show this week, and they were talking about how it looks like the Panthers are going to actually go with Young.
Yeah.
And that the Texans might like Will Levis better than Stroud.
What? I didn't hear that.
Yeah, so there's all this chatter. So it's like, well, how far can Stroud fall? I can't imagine he falls out of the top 5. You know what I mean? And say he ends up in Indianapolis, would that be a bad thing? Like
That would be amazing with Pittman and Alec Pierce as weapons.
I'd be pretty happy with that.
Isaiah McKenzie.
I'm going to say Stroud's still my 1, regardless of the landing spot. Bryce Young for me is my 2, and then after that, yeah, you got to go Richardson because you're going for the upside. Him and Will Levis are both Blue Jeans are both flawed, but one ceiling is just you will wreck leagues if he hits his ceiling.
I don't know, man.
And that's Richardson.
Will Levis always reminded me of Gus Frerotte. Every time I turn on the tape, I literally just see Gus Frerotte over and over and over again. His release, his style of play, his big arm. And Gus Frerotte, he put up stats. The issue was Gus Frerotte pissed everybody on his team off, which could be similar to Will Levis, where he never stuck with an organization. He wasn't a leader. So, Will Levis is still intriguing to me because I think that he's the guy that could increase his fantasy value from this season to next, if he lands in the right situation. But to sit there and think that Will Levis has long-term value in the NFL would be, I guess, somewhat asinine to an extent just because of his style of play.
If he's drafted in the top 10, which he probably will be,
yeah,
you have to draft him. Like, you don't have a choice. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to draft. I'm not. In a league where I need a quarterback, I can't imagine, or my quarterback rooms are just middling. Like, how do you pass on him for JSN? I like JSN and I like Gibbs, but over a quarterback that potentially could be a top 12 quarterback. Like, he's got a cannon of an arm. He's a runner. He's a runner. He's very mobile. And one of I forget who I read, but one of the scouts talked about when he was at Penn State, they said he didn't look like he'd ever be a quarterback, but he'd be a fine running back. I forget who said that, so sorry. But
same guy that said Lamar Jackson would be,
Yeah. Yeah, it was Bill Polian. I mean, you're gonna have to draft him, and that's I'll swallow it and be like, you know what? I'm at 104. If I earn that, I clearly need a quarterback, right? Most likely. So let me do it.
So, oh my God, if we have Gator the chat saying can't trust a guy that does not peel the banana, even a monkey peels a banana. I don't even know what he means by that. But
I'm guessing that's probably Will Levis because he's weird and he puts mayo in his coffee. So that's probably him. Let's get to some of these listeners' questions.
We will. I'm working on it, but I got one more question before we do. Is there a spot like the Seahawks where Richardson could actually move up the draft boards for you, where he has a year to sit? It's an advantageous offense. He has many weapons. Is Richardson somebody that can move up your boards? There's a spot that he can move up your board to overtake one of your top 2 quarterbacks?
No.
All right.
Because it's not about landing spot. It's really not. It's about the floor and the ceiling. Now, obviously, the ceiling is phenomenal for the guy, but the floor is, he scares me. He's very fundamentally not sound. He's got some things to work on. And one of the things that people keep talking about him is he doesn't have vision. And I don't know how you teach that. You know what I mean? That seems like that's one of those things is as a player, you either have it or you don't. I don't know how you teach that. That doesn't, like, you can teach footwork. You can teach release. You can, you know what I mean?
They have little dots on the wall and you just hit it like wherever the dot appears,
But I don't know how you teach someone to have vision on the field, to have, to see. So that's, he just worries me a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen what Pete Carroll was able to do with Russell Wilson, and then what happened to Russell Wilson after he left Pete Carroll, but, just throwing that out there. All right, thoughts on this trade he made? Jamie's over here taking victory laps. He traded away the 102, 210, Pacheco, and Schultz for the 101 Gesicki. How did he do?
Let's see. Yeah, that's a win. That's a win. And I like that you got Gesicki back, too. It's just like, sure, I need another player back. This isn't good enough. Give me more. I like it.
Absolutely. All right. What's the most you'd be willing to give up to trade from the 102 to the 101 in Superflex?
I mean, honestly, not a ton. Because if again, this is next year and Caleb Williams is the 101.
Yeah.
A lot. But it's a running back. And look, I love Bijan. I think everyone loves Bijan. That's not the question. I think everyone thinks he's going to be a stud. Is he going to be a guy that scores 28 points a game, like a true difference-making running back, like in the olden days, like CMC at his peak? I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing that can happen anymore. And that's kind of what I would need to trade to talk myself into giving up a lot. I'd start with a second. I'd add a third. I'd give another second.
Are you talking about early second or late second?
Early. Player-wise, I'll tell you what, I might trade a player that the community is a little higher on than I am. Maybe Treylon Burks or JMO and try to get something back on the back end if I could.
Wait. We're talking about Jameson Williams, baby. Jameson fucking Williams. He's got this belt signed by Jameson Williams. This thing is sexy. You guys can actually go customize your own belts over there at TrophySmack.com. Once again, that's TrophySmack.com. Use promo code free bling, and you'll actually get a free championship ring along with the purchase of a trophy or a belt. Once again, that's promo code free bling. Get yourself a free ring along with the purchase of a trophy or a belt. All right. Let's go ahead and put this back, and then let's hop on to our next question. Honestly, like I'm in the same boat as Shane. I like Young and I like Stroud. I probably like Stroud a little bit more just because of the longevity that he could have in the NFL compared to that. I did see something interesting, or I was looking up something interesting where somebody said, Ohio State's never produced a productive quarterback. And honestly, the highest drafted quarterback they've ever had was actually Justin Fields. So actually they might have had one other one back in like the 90s or something like that. But Justin Fields is the only one in like the past 20 years that was drafted early for them. So it does make you a little bit nervous that they produce all these wide receivers and that their quarterbacks aren't very good overall. It feels like a system, but at the same time, I think Stroud will be just fine. All right, let's hop over to. Let's hit this question and then we'll hop on to the rest of the show and we'll go on to G16 here in a little bit. If it's not Superflex, how do you feel about giving up the 104 and 111 for Olave?
If it's not Superflex?
If it's not.
I'd give that up every day of the week for Olave.
All right. So, because earlier we were talking
about. But he was saying if it is Superflex, do not give 104 and 111 for Olave. So he's saying, Josh is saying, Josh is saying, hold on to the 104 and a 111 for instead of trading for Olave. So, 104, you could get JSN. Who I guess some folks probably would hope could be at least the equal to Olave, and that's what you're banking on. And partly also, JSN is really liked in the market. I forget where he's ranked, but he was already like top 15 wide receiver, and he doesn't even have a team yet. So that'll probably go up when he gets top 15 NFL draft capital. So I get it. It's just I am obviously, and I've admitted this before, I'm especially high on Olave, so I wouldn't be moving him for that.
All right, so let's go ahead and let's talk about the first non-quarterback. Let's go ahead and bring up JSN and Jahmyr Gibbs. So I actually have this personal issue in one of my leagues, and I'm sitting there with the 102, the 10 or the 101, the 102, and the 105. Okay, I need a running back. My best running back on this team is Malik Davis, right? Like I sold off all my running backs. I don't have any more. I sold them off at the trade deadline so I could tank. I could get the 101, ended up with the 102 and the 105 in the trades. So if I end up going and I take, by the way, I think this is single quarterback league, by the way. So with the 101, if I take Bijan Robinson, I still need a second running back because it's 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers. The guys sitting at the 103 and the 104 are stacked at wide receiver. They also need running backs. Do I take Jahmyr Gibbs at the 102 and then hope that JSN makes it to the 105? Or do I take JSN at the 102 and then take whichever player falls to me the 105 and then hopefully I can acquire a wide receiver?
You might be taking Zach Charbonnet by the time the NFL draft rolls, after the NFL draft rolls around, because he might be the second running back off the board. But in this scenario,
What?
I'd be fine with taking JSN or Gibbs and then taking Charbonnet at 105, assuming he falls to 105. So let's play that out. Yeah, Bijan, JSN. What's that other guy's name? Gibbs. I mean, who would you put above Charbonnet there at 104? Is there anyone that could go before him?
I mean, I'm not a fan, honestly, of the wide receivers at that point, but I could see a position where I take Flowers, excuse me. I take Flowers, or I take one of these other wide receivers that pop in there. I'm not a big fan of Charbonnet. I like him okay.
Mm-hmm.
He's good. I don't find him great, and I think that if you're drafting at the 105, you should have a great running back. And honestly, I love Gibbs. Like, why is Gibbs not getting the respect that I feel like he deserves? He put up similar, if not better, stats to Travis Etienne back in this past season compared to the season that Etienne put up, and he was younger than Etienne when he came out.
I like Gibbs, but also, I believe in historical comps mean something, right? And I'm not the one that thought of this, but everyone has already told you that sub 200-pound running backs have not produced as fantasy assets.
He's 199.
Even below like 210. Like, people comp him to Alvin Kamara, but he's a lot. He weighs a lot less than Alvin Kamara. I like Gibbs.
I feel CJ like Spiller. You have Jamal Charles.
How did CJ Spiller? CJ Spiller, stop it.
CJ Spiller was a borderline monster before he got screwed over by the coaching staff, and they got him hurt because he turned into Ron Rivera, where they just wanted to run him up the middle 20 times a game, and he's not made to run up the middle 20 times a game because he's 200 pounds. It's the same thing with Gibbs, right? Where as long as he's getting used on the outside, he'll be fine, but he's only 20 years old. This kid is a potential stud. He's just getting shit on right now.
I'm not shitting on him. I like him. I mean, to me, he's the running back too right now. So I guess in your world where I don't, who do you like better straight up as a player, Gibbs or JSN?
I like Gibbs.
All right, well, then take Gibbs.
But
here's the thing, right? Here's the thing in the draft. I'd rather grab the guy that I want at 102. Then it's not a reach. It's not like you're reaching, right?
No.
Then grab the guy that I don't like as much and hope that the guy I do like, or some version of it, falls later. Because if it doesn't, I'm going to kick myself because I wasn't able to get Gibbs.
Yeah, it's something to me where it's like the rest of the community, regardless, he's a wide receiver. They will value him as, a high-end wide receiver, even if he doesn't produce in his rookie year, or at least, doesn't produce at an elite level in his rookie year. If Jahmyr Gibbs comes out and bombs in his rookie year, gets hurt, you're talking about a significant decrease in value. JSN, if he gets hurt, most people, not saying everybody, because you're somebody that is on the opposite end of the spectrum, like most people won't end up decreasing the value of wide receiver if they end up getting hurt in their rookie season. If they end up producing under 1,000 yards in their rookie season. If Gibbs does anything less than, 50 receptions for 400 yards and I don't know, 800 yards rushing, then that's considered an epic bust for a running back. And we see their value decrease significantly, similar to what we saw with a lot of running backs.
Yeah.
So that's my conundrum is, do I end up going that route and taking the depreciation risk, or do I go the route of being a safe pick?
I mean, me personally, I'm going JSN.
Okay.
The community likes him better, right? So that means as long as he produces at a decent rate, I could move off of him next year too. It'll be easier to move off of him than it would Gibbs if Gibbs does what you just said. You know what I mean? Has a James Cook plus season. People are going to be like, oh, this dude's dead. Like, yes. Just think about it. Like, where's James? And I know James Cook was drafted later in the rookie drafts last year, but like, have you tried to train James Cook lately? It's not great, Bob.
Can't get
not great at all.
All right. What are you trading for Mahomes in a 10-team Superflex start 10 with Watson, ASRB, and too late 2024 first be too much? Other quarterback is Herbert.
Yeah, this is too much. And it's very rare that I could find a way to say that paying that for anything for Mahomes is too much. Watson is in obviously a tier below Mahomes, but I still have him as a top 8 dynasty quarterback. I'm not going to add 2 firsts to that and Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Wait, is this Christian Watson or Deshaun Watson? Because I was thinking Christian Watson at first.
That's a good question. If it's Christian Watson, I'm making this fucking deal immediately.
Really, for 220? Well, I guess you said late 24 first.
Maybe not immediately, but I would make it. I'd make this deal if it is Christian Watson. If that's Deshaun Watson, no, I'm not making this deal.
So do you think Deshaun Watson returns to top 7 quarterback status, top 8?
Yes.
Okay.
No doubt.
All right. Yeah, he said Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, nope. ARSP.
I'm going to hold.
It depends on my depth. If my team is stacked and I can afford to not have those 2 2024 first-round picks, and I can replace ARSB, like if I can't replace Amon-Ra St. Brown, then I don't see a point in taking a hit at wide receiver and moving off of 2 2024 first and a weak rookie class for 2023. So at that point, that's where I would say no. But in a 10 team, I think that's what would make the difference. Yeah, I'm probably in the same boat. All right. Yeah, he said Waddle, London, Burks, and Deontay Johnson are the other wide receivers.
Look, I love your wide receiver room. I'm not going to do this, though. I'd give up Watson and a first. I'd give up Watson and I already said the other first. But no, I'm going to pass on this. Dude, Watson's super good. I mean, I know he struggled last year. He didn't play football for 2 years. Like he's still an elite quarterback, and we're going to see that this year. I'm pretty good with Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and David Njoku as his receiving weapons. I think we're going to be fine. Even assuming they don't add to it. Yeah,
DPJ is going to be wide receiver 1 in the season, so I'm very excited for that.
There you go.
Dude, that's the first time you brought up Donovan Peoples-Jones before I did.
Look, I don't think he's a valuable fantasy asset, but I think he's a very good wide receiver 3 for an NFL offense.
All right, let's go ahead and hop on to this question. Then I'm going to answer the FLY Meatwads question after this. If you're sitting in the range of 104 to 106 and you need a running back, would you take Barkley and the 2024 mid-first or Jahmyr Gibbs?
Oh, Barkley in the first, bro. That's not even close.
All right, Dalvin Cook in a 2024 mid-first or Gibbs?
Probably still Dalvin Cook in the mid-24 first. So these are all process deals, right?
Yeah.
I'm getting running back is a short-term bet. And yes, Dalvin Cook might only have 2 more years left in him. Saquon might only have 3 more years. Yeah, right. Or they might only have 1 more year. But I'm not really promised high-level production from Gibbs for a long time either. The 2017 class is pretty much has defied all expectations. But largely, most running backs don't continue to produce in the year 6, 7, etc. So you take the running back that's already a high producer and the free pick.
All right, name a running back you would add to the 110 to trade for one of those picks in the 04 and 06 range. If you were sitting at the 110 and you wanted to trade up to the 104 to 16, is there a running back at the top of your mind that you think?
I try to skimp at running back, so it's going to be like and that's how I'm going to deal too. I'm going to be like, well, I'll give you James Cook in the 110 if you let me get the 104, and that's going to get turned down.
What about like Alvin Kamara, Tyler Algier, Rashad White, like that range of running backs?
I'm higher on Rashad White than a lot of people. So no, not Rashad White. Alvin Kamara, I would think about it. I definitely would think about it. And G16 brought up another interesting name, Mixon. I wonder, could I do? So here's what I would try to do. Can I do that? Either any of those trades, right? But get back the 105 and a second rounder, even if it's 24 second rounder. I honestly prefer. I prefer that it not be a 23 second and it would be a 24 second.
Yeah, I feel like the 23 seconds though are actually going to have a ton of value because the big names are still there and because people like these players.
Well, also it's the mystery box. It's that's next year. I don't know what that could be. That could be anything. As opposed to this year, you're going, that's Chase Brown, that's Tajay Spears, that's who you might like, but not all the communities in on.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, let's go to this question real quick. With the 106 or 107 with Levis being a tier break, would you add on the 201 to a 108 to get the 106 in 0.5 PPR Superflex 12 team?
Would you add on the 201 to get to the 106? Here's the problem with getting the 106. I don't know if that gets you. It doesn't get. You don't have any control over the quarterback still. Like the further.
He's essentially. I think he's essentially saying that Levis is the guy that he wants, right? That's the last.
If that's the guy he wants, Levis should be there at 106. I'd be fine with that. I'd probably be trying to get up to the 105 to be absolutely certain, right? Bijan, Stroud, Young, Richardson, Levis. I can't say his name correctly. Apologies.
So wait, you would add the 201 to the 108 just to get into that final tier, just to grab the last quarterback?
That 105, yeah. Because I'm guessing if I need a quarterback badly, yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
Because otherwise, you're looking at, all right, I'm sitting at 108. I'm going to draft Hendon Hooker here because I need a quarterback.
No, I think I would move the 201 for a guy like Daniel Jones or something along those lines.
You're not getting Daniel Jones for 201. You're not getting Daniel Jones for less than the 107, 108 in most Superflex leagues.
All right, Jared Goff.
I won't want Jared Goff, but that's me.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if you get him for the 201 because if I had Jared Goff, what is the 201 going to give me that Jared Goff doesn't? Even if he's my third quarterback, I need more back from you to do that. Could it get you Jimmy Garoppolo? Sure.
I think the 206 could get you Jimmy G at the latest. Like I think you could probably get Jimmy G for 210, just because of the news of the Raiders trying to move up. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would move up to that just to get a quarterback that we don't even know is going to be any good, that the NFL doesn't believe in. If he gets taken at the 102 by the Texans, I might be willing to do that just because there must have been rumblings that he actually is better. But man, that's tough for me.
No matter what, I don't see him falling out of the top 10 of the NFL draft. So he's a top 10 quarterback. Like I said, I'm not in love with him, but also I don't get the decision on who gets drafted and who starts and how many chances they get. And if he gets put into an offense that accentuates his strengths, I mean, a kid could be really good.
Bob's in the chat. He says, I'm here for the Chase stash. What's up, Bob? Yes.
Bob, I wish, as an elder statesman of the fantasy community, I wish you would try to impart upon Chase some knowledge that his mustache looks like an absolute pedophilia red flag.
It is not. It is.
I'm not saying it is.
The sexiest thing you have ever laid your eyes on, and you're just so attracted to it that you want to try and avoid the level of love that you would show towards this mustache if you saw the person.
Mm-hmm.
So Fly Meatwad also brings up, by the way, he means more of a skill player. He says he's good on quarterbacks. He says he's looking at JSN or Gibbs. I honestly I don't think that Gibbs makes it to you at the 106.
If the first four quarterbacks go off the board and Bijan, he does.
Yeah. You would have to see a 4-person quarterback run. I don't know if I would trust that in leagues, so I think I'd wait till the draft to happen and do that trade in draft. I wouldn't take this chance if you end up having like that pick and then you end up getting stuck with Will and you don't even need a quarterback.
Yeah, that would suck. I mean, it's going to be an interesting draft because we're going to see players like JSN and Gibbs go off the board before Richardson, before Will Levis in a lot of drafts when I don't know if that's the correct play. And I'm not a fan of either of those quarterbacks, but we're going to see that happen in a lot of leagues because people that don't need quarterbacks, why are they going to reach for Will Levis? I could see doing it for Richardson and being like, you know what, if this guy hits his upside, you know what I mean? Compared to if JSN hits his upside, like what's worth more, a QB1 in Dynasty or a wide receiver 1? A QB1. So even if, if he does hit that ceiling, the way I'd be able to sell him for such a profit compared to what I could for a wide receiver 1.
Yeah, and I think that we're also going to see a massive influx of draft hype come out this upcoming draft after a few of these players and are going way higher than they probably should, or if they land on certain teams. We see it every year. It's tough to sit there and try to make that trade now in hopes that either Gibbs or JSN would end up making it to you. So I'd probably hold on to that up until the actual draft pick or the actual draft takes place, and then probably your fantasy draft after that. Bob, I don't even want to show this because Shane is going to take victory laps. We were talking about him getting the mustache earlier, but it is what it is.
Look, this is the perpetual scruffy beard. It's never any shorter than this. It's never ever any longer. It's just always this way. I don't know how I do it.
And by the way, Fly Meatwad, I will bring up that if you have the opportunity to move up to the 104, that's where I would probably make that move, because JSN will most likely be there, and so will Gibbs.
You put up another question from Bob there. So Bob, Dynasty Superflex, drafting before the NFL draft. Bijan, Young, Richardson, and Stroud are off the board. His current QBs are Josh Allen, Derek Carr, and Jordan Love. Who goes at 105 and 106? Asking for a friend. Yeah, I am interested in this too, Bob, because I believe I might have my other friend I know, might have the 108 in this draft. Let's see. Bijan, Young, Richardson, Stroud, all off the board. JSN and Gibbs?
Yeah, I think it's JSN and Gibbs, absolutely.
Yeah, JSN and Gibbs. And if Bob, I don't know where Bob's drafting because I haven't even looked at the draft because I'm not trying to move up. We're not trying to move up, I should say. Dynasty Trades HQ. If a quarterback falls to Bob at 105, 106, I think I just hold. I just hold. I don't draft a quarterback. I am unnecessarily optimistic on Jordan Love this year.
Yeah, I like Jordan Love. I think that he's going to be a decent quarterback. I don't like Green Bay's defense that much. They're going to have to pass. I think it's going to be a fun time in Green Bay. And I don't know if he's actually going to be good for NFL, but he'll be all right for fantasy. All right, how close are these top 4 wide receivers for you? Shane, when we talk about the Elite 4 that actually aren't the Elite 4, that now it's coming out that from Jim Nagy that all 4 of these wide receivers probably won't go in the first round like everybody's saying.
Yeah. There isn't an Elite 4. There's JSN.
Bob over here in the chat.
Meanwhile, Bob is literally everyone's friend. Yeah. Anytime anyone talks to Bob and then Bob walks away, everybody there that's left goes, God, he's the fucking greatest. I love that guy. And everyone's like, yeah, me too. I fucking love Bob.
Bob's the best.
It's definitely not a big 4. It's not. It's JSN and I don't know. Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is the one who I keep hearing he might get, and I'm not like I have sources. I'm just listening to NFL podcasts. But he's the other one that I keep hearing he might go first in the NFL draft. Zay Flowers.
I keep hearing that he's going to go second. I think Jordan Addison's going to sink to the second round. I think that's very possible if he's not taken by the Chargers at 21 overall, I believe. Quentin Johnston's another guy that I could see sinking, but
I hate Quentin Johnston, not as a person, obviously. I don't I don't want anyone to think like I have a personal vendetta against him. I just don't like him as a prospect at all.
I think that the stuff that he lacks, though, are stuff that you can teach an NFL player, such as high pointing the ball, such as, like essentially using his frame to box out defenders. Like stuff that he doesn't do well is stuff that you can teach. And I think an NFL team will see that and be like, oh, I can teach him how to do that. I'm the best coach in the world.
Sure. Good luck. I'm going to go with, I hope he falls to at least the second round, because then any temptation I have to draft him before like 109, 110 will just be absolutely obliterated, and I won't do it.
Yeah,
but to me, it's JSN, Zay Flowers. I like Marvin Mims more than I like Quentin Johnston. I like Marvin Mims, I think, more than I like Addison right now. Obviously, draft capital is going to tell me who I like better, because if one's a second rounder and the other's a third, or one's a second and one's a fourth, obviously that's going to sway my opinion.
All right, so let's say that JSN is off the board. And we have, because the person that asked me this question, he said that JSN will likely not be there. Would you take, and Gibbs was off the board. Would you take 3 to mid seconds to move out of, let's just say it's the 105 or the 106? Would you take 3 picks in order to move out if that's likely going to be one of the picks, those wide receivers?
Mid seconds?
Yeah.
No.
3
No.
early to mid seconds.
No, not unless it's like start 13, start 12. Let's be reasonable. If it's start 12 or start 13, I would think about it. But outside of that, no. I'm going to that pick's got too much value regardless of who's on the board, who's left. I'm gonna make something out of that. I don't care if I need to combine it with another player and upgrade at a position. I don't care if I need to use another pick from next year to upgrade to a better player. That pick has too much value for me to just trade it for a bunch of random seconds. I don't care if it's 201, 204, and 208. Like really? That's the classic trading $1 for 3 quarters because 3 is more than 1.
All right.
Don't do that.
What kind of value would you be looking to get in return if you're up on the clock and JSN is off the board? Like, what? Can you give me an example of a trade? Like, hey, I need the 201 and the 110.
Oh, I stopped listening. What?
I need the 201 and the 110, something along those lines. Like, can you give me an example of a value that you would take or a veteran receiver that you would like to acquire for the 106 if JSN is off the board and Gibbs is off the board?
Can I get Brandon?
Let's go with Charbonnet.
Well, I would draft Charbonnet, but can I get Brandon Ayuk in a second?
Yeah, sure, if that's what you think.
Okay, I'll take
Is Brandon Ayuk that guy? God, man.
I'll take Debo.
And Brandon Ayuk.
Okay, I'll take Debo in a second.
Debo's way better than Ayuk.
The names don't matter. They're the same person. How they play
not.
doesn't matter. Their production is. Brandon Ayuk smashed as a rookie. Had a very rough sophomore season and came back and smashed again last year. So I would try to trade that 105. What is it? The 105?
The 106, we'll say.
106. Okay, what do I need to add to that to go get Chris Olave or Garrett Wilson? Do I need to add anything to that to get Drake London?
I just acquired Drake London for the 110 the other day.
That's just fucking stupid. Whoever did that should have their trading rights revoked. Now, I'm not going to say veto because vetoing is abomination. There should never be that. But whoever,
maybe it was 108. Maybe it was 108.
Still bad. Whoever made that trade should not be allowed to send offers or accept offers without consulting with someone first.
Well, on Twitter, it went 50-50. So
Twitter is not. Look, Twitter sometimes is fine. Other times it's not so fine.
All right. So essentially you want Brandon Ayuk. If not, you want to try and compile assets to move up.
Well, it's got to be Brandon Ayuk plus.
Yeah, Brandon Ayuk plus. Excuse me. All right. Let's see. Let me go ahead. Let's close out this episode. We're coming up on 55 minutes here in a second. Favorite second round running back prospect?
So as of right now, I think Tank Bigsby will be there. So I think it's Tank. Could be Tajay Spears, although I think he'll go in the first. I don't like Jack. Roshan Johnson.
Roshan?
Yeah, let's go with Roshan. He's got this allure to him, right? Because he didn't get to play as much because of Bijan being there, but he always looked good.
He's got low tread on the tires.
Yeah, I don't care about that. But the dude could be a stud. So I'll say Roshan. Roshan, or if Tank's there, I'm going to take Tank. But Roshan more likely will be there.
You know my love for Devin and Shane. That's got to be up there for me. And then your boy turned me on to Israel Abanikanda.
Abanikanda. That's not how you say that.
Yeah, you got it right. Abanikanda.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's 100% has gotten to my radar ever since. I think that Izzy is a guy who I'm 100, like I'm keeping on my radar. I'm even seeing which teams need running backs and potentially trying to move up to grab him in the second round. I love him as a prospect. Jamie in the chat brings up Evan Hull.
Oh, Jesus Christ. How did I leave Evan Hall out? Yeah, man. Evan Hall, look, I know I made fun of him at the combine for the scoring on everything, but he's a big back and he's a receiver. Like he can play in all 3 downs. Like he's productive.
And he can run 75 yards really fast.
All the time.
A lot.
Yeah, you know what? And this is where the second round quarter or running backs, this is where this running back class really shines, is it's like this amalgamation of just people that we're not sure which one. You got like Roshan, Tajay Spears, Izzy, Evan Hall, and I'm missing like 15 other guys. Like there's just going to be a lot of running backs depending on draft capital that are going to get moved up and down. But yeah, I like both of those. I like actually both of your selections better than either of mine.
What, Devin Achane and Izzy or Evan Hall?
I don't. No, not Devin Achane. I've slowly come to my senses and realized he is way too small. But no, I like Evan Hall and Izzy in the second round. And yeah, Izzy might go into the first round. We got to see where his draft capital. If he gets second day draft capital, he's in the first.
Man, I'll tell you what. You know, I love Devin Achane. And it hit me the other day. I saw a mock draft where Devin Achane went to the Titans, and it gave me Darrington Evans vibes. And I was like, dude, like they are so similar. Like I feel like Achane is more like of a Elijah Mitchell type player, but oh man, it gave me the same exact vibes of like this guy could be out of the NFL. So I probably am not as high on him as I was before after like having that realization, but it's still in my head. All right, let's go ahead and go into second round wide receivers that you might want to take a shot on. Who is that guy for you? Is there even a second round wide receiver that you even want to draft with how many running backs are?
If Marvin Mims falls into the second round of rookie drafts, him, that's it. That's literally the only wide receiver I'm targeting in the second round. I can't think of any other dude.
My wide receivers that I would actually draft in the second round, I'd much rather pass on and go into the third round, because I think there's going to be a bunch of values, because I think that the second round is going to be so heavy on running backs that a lot of these second round wide receivers that in most years would go in the second round are going to get pushed to the third round. A guy for me is Tank Dell, who I love. The guy is extremely efficient. Though. I know he's 165, but guess what?
But he's even small for this class.
Devonta Smith was 5 pounds heavier. No, Devonta Smith was Heisman Trophy winner. I mean, I understand that it's not a comparison, but at the same time, he could get redshirted while playing third downs, and work his way into the Hunter Renfrow role, and find himself if he finds the right offense. If he doesn't land in the right offense, he's screwed. He's out of the NFL in 3 years.
Jamie brings up Cedric Tillman. He's another one I'm hearing again. Not sources, listening to NFL podcasts, that apparently the league likes him better than we think. I'm not going to say I don't want to be a slave to draft capital. It's just we're fooling ourselves if we don't think draft capital is uber important. Not where they land, where they're drafted. You know what number they're drafted at. If Cedric Tillman goes in the second round, third round, yeah, I'm going to draft him in the second round of rookie drafts.
But like Felix Jones, like Tyquan Thornton, like there are organizations that don't draft wide receivers well.
Well, definitely. So yeah, if Cedric Tillman gets drafted by the Patriots, I'm probably going to look at that a little more skeptical than if he gets drafted by. I don't even want to say the Chiefs, because the Chiefs blew it more last year, but
Mecole Hardman.
Yeah, Mecole Hardman. Yeah.
The Packers had one good wide receiver they've drafted in the past 5 years.
Yeah, so look,
Christian Watson.
There's just certain teams that do not draft well at positions. You're right. So if it's the Patriots, I'm going to ignore anything they do at wide receiver. I don't care if they get him in the first round.
Yeah, I honestly I don't think that draft capital for this wide receiver class matters as much. But I mean, dude, you see Tank Dell going in the second rounds in a lot of these mocks. Like they think that Tank Dell is going to be a role player in one of these offenses, and he's going early. He scored 26 touchdowns in 3 years? 28?
Two Atwell.
Listen, I hate Tutu Atwell, but it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same.
Just saying.
Tutu Atwell was great at route running, terrible with the ball after the ball in his hands after the catch. It's not the same. Tank Dell is a joystick similar to Kadarius Toney. But let's go ahead and let's get out of here. Shane, where can we find you?
Oh, find me on Twitter at Shane is the worst. That's my handle. Also, Dynasty Trades HQ podcast. Dynasty Trades HQ Patreon. Come check us out on Patreon. Dynasty Trades in 5 live stream. And I think that's it, right? And writing for DLF. And like I said, check my Josh already hit it up. Josh Pope already hit it up. But go give some money to charity. Doesn't matter how much, and get entered into a contest for a free year of DLF. I don't care how much you give. Just give to a charity and send me proof. Or if you've already given to a charity, you give it every week. Whatever. Just shoot me proof, and I'll enter you into that contest.
Yeah, make sure you guys also subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/fantasy intervention. Once again, that's youtube.com/fantasy intervention. It's been crazy watching it grow. It's been awesome with the shorts we've been putting out and the work that Gator J has been putting in. Big shout out to Gator J, of course, who did not make it on the show tonight. We will have guests coming up here within the next few weeks. I'm excited for the NFL draft. We'll be crushing some of these takes, of course, and we'll be putting out shorts for the takes as well. Make sure you guys go follow my stuff over there at FF_intervention, where I have a little more time on my hands to be getting back into the NFL analysis, which kind of took a break from over the past 8 to 10 months. So I'm excited to get back into that. And yeah, thank you guys for letting us intervene with your fantasy football life. We're out of here.